Is this on? It is. It is. And we might wait 1 or 2 minutes just because people may be a little intimidated about coming in. There are a couple of people still coming in, so I'm going to wait. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
I think everybody knows that there are 1,000 people hearing somebody very exciting speak next door, but here you are. Here you are. And you know that the rabbi is taking a weekend off, which she usually does when Abby comes to visit, and she deserves, obviously, to have that rest. So tonight, our service will be led primarily by Abby. I think as I look out that all of you have probably met Abby before, most of you anyway. Abby Klionski has been our ISJL Education Fellow for the last 2 years. That means that she's come to our congregation first and foremost to work with our religious school, with our teachers, and with our students. But the other part of it that's so wonderful is that she comes to help lead services and to teach Torah study. And she has brought with her in the last 2 years a great deal of intelligence and insight, a good sense of humor, a lot of spirit. We are very grateful that we were allowed to have Abby for a second year. Because that doesn't always happen, but she has been a real blessing for us. She connects with people of all ages, and so, she's great with the little 3- and 4-year-olds in Goldie and Sharon's class, but she's also wonderful with the adults at Torah study, and everybody, really. So we really are very, very lucky. We don't know where, or maybe she hasn't told me yet, we don't know where her skills and her talents and her drive are going to take her next, although I suspect she will know soon enough. But I don't know yet, but what I do know is that in the meantime, we're thrilled that she's here with us tonight. So I invite you to participate with her tonight. If you can, come to Torah study tomorrow because it will be special. And in the meantime, we're just glad you're here. So we are going to start our service, and then I'm going to turn it over to Abby. But we're going to start our service as we normally do by trying to leave some of our cares outside as we take a very deep breath and blow it out slowly. And some of us probably need a second one after the week we've had, so we'll try again. And that brings us to the time when we are ready to welcome Shabbat. And tonight, Harvey and Cheryl Rubin are going to bless the candles and the wine. We're going to be on page 82, doing service number 3. And then we'll be turning to pages 166 and 167 for the Kiddush. So if you want to put your hand at 166, 167. But we're going to, I'm going to ask you to rise if it is comfortable for you to do so. And page 82.
These lights are only flickering flames, yet flames illumine our uncertain steps. Flames remind us of Sabbaths long past and of their beauty that delighted our hearts. May they inspire us to work for the great Sabbath of peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot and command us to kindle the Sabbath lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And now it's pages 166 and 167.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Amen.
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You call us to holiness with mitzvah of Shabbat, a sign of your love, a reminder of your creative work, and our liberation from Egyptian bondage. Our day of days, O Shabbat especially, we hearken to your call to serve you as a holy people. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of Shabbat.
And you may be seated after you turn and say Shabbat Shalom to people around you.
Shabbat Shalom.
We will continue on page 84 with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
The synagogue is the sanctuary of Israel. Born of our longing for the living God, it has been to Israel throughout our wanderings a visible token of the presence of God in our people's midst. Its beauty is the beauty of holiness. Steadfast it has stood as a champion of justice, mercy, and peace.
Its truths are true for all people. Its love is a love for all people. Its God is the God of all people. As it has been said, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples.
Let all the family of Israel, all who hunger for righteousness, all who seek the eternal, find God here, and here find life. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba.
Amen.
V'yalmad divrei chirate v'yamlich malchute
V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Uvisman kariv v'meru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam lal me'almaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Baruch hu et Adonai
how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, yet you are farther than the farthermost star. You are as mysterious as the vast solitude of night, yet as familiar to us as the light of the sun. To Moses you said, "You cannot see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you." Even so does your goodness pass before us, in the realm of nature and in the joys and sorrows of life.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then your goodness enters our lives, and we can begin to change the world. And then you live within our hearts, and we through righteousness
behold your presence.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Amen.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטפטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. You shall love your eternal God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be symbols before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I am your eternal God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am your eternal God. I, the Eternal One, have called you to righteousness, and taken you by the hand and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations.
We are Israel, witness to the covenant between God and God's children.
This is the covenant I make with Israel. I will place my Torah in your midst and write it upon your hearts. I will be your God, and you shall be my people.
We are Israel. Our Torah forbids the worship of race or nation, possessions or power.
You who worship gods that cannot save you, hear the words of the Eternal One. I am God, there is none else.
We are Israel. Our prophets proclaimed an exalted vision for the world.
Hate evil and love what is good. Let justice well up as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream.
We are Israel, schooled in the suffering of the oppressed.
You shall not oppress your neighbors nor rob them. You shall not stand idle while your neighbor bleeds.
We are Israel, taught to beat swords into plowshares, commanded to pursue justice.
Violence shall no longer be heard in your land, desolation and destruction within your borders. All your children will be taught of your God, and great shall be the peace of your children.
We are Israel, O God, when we are witnesses to your love and messengers of your truth.
You are my witness, says the Eternal One, and my servant whom I have chosen. Know me, therefore, and put your trust in me.
We are Israel, O God, when we proclaim you, God our Redeemer, as did our ancestors on the shores of the Red Sea. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha dedan b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, seli anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed.
Who is like you, Eternal One, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, doing wonders? In their escape from the sea, your children saw your sovereign might displayed. This is my God, they cried. The Eternal will reign forever and ever. And it has been said, the Eternal One delivered Jacob and redeemed us from the hand of one stronger than ourselves. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. O God, spread over us your shelter of peace, of quiet and calm, and bless us with rest. And let a time come when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish, a time of happiness, of contentment and rest. We give thanks for the night and its rest, and the promise of peace for all the world.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
The soul that you have given me is pure, yet I know that within it my yearning for the sacred must struggle with my inclination for the profane. At times the profane seems the winner. Love and truth are debased. The divine gift of compassion is depleted. The anguish of others goes unfelt and unheeded. How much I need you, O God, at such times. I need the sense of your presence within me, giving me the strength to elevate my soul beyond the sordid to the sacred. Your presence is the light that dispels the darkness that would envelop me, the light that shows me the path to a life of honor and truth. We rise now for the tefillah. Adonai, sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imavot, Umevii Gula lebnei v'nehem, Leman Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. God of all generations, of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, be praised. Your wondrous creative power fills heaven and earth. God of life and death, be praised. Through us send help to the falling, healing to the sick, freedom to the captive. Confirm your faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust. Awesome and holy God, be praised. With acts of love and truth we hallow your name, as it is said, be holy, for I, your eternal God, am holy. God of times and seasons, be praised. Enable us through Sabbath rest to explore and learn and impart the meanings of your Torah. Make our hearts ready to serve you this day and all days. God who answers prayer, be praised. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God. Source of life and its wonders, be praised. You are the miracle within all we behold. You are the goodness, you are compassion. We give thanks to you forever.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ve'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol Bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
God of peace, of justice, and of love, be praised. Inspire us to banish forever hatred, war, and bloodshed. Help us to establish forever one human family united in peace. God of peace, bless us with peace. We now take the chance to say a silent prayer. You can read what's in the book, what's in your heart, and we will join together after.
Adonai Tzuri, Tzuri v'goli, Adonai Tzuri Egoai.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign among us, all Israel and all the world. We'll now turn to the back cover of your prayer book for the Mishaberach, the prayer for healing for the sick. As we say this prayer, feel free to say a name in your heart or out loud before we begin.
Sister Mary Jo.
O God, in our hearts, we name those who are facing illness and pain. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Strengthen in them the healing powers you have placed within us all. Guide the hands and hearts of those who are entrusted with their care. May the knowledge of your love and ours give added hope to them and to their dear ones. May they find even greater strength because our prayers are linked to theirs. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. We praise you, eternal God, the source of healing and health. And we add now the prayer on behalf of our military. Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu. May the one who blessed and protected our ancestors guard all those whom we have entrusted with the responsibility of defending our freedom and protecting us. In this country, in the land of Israel, and everywhere they have been called to serve. May they return home safely, and let us say, Amen. Now I have the pleasure of calling up Helaine Braunig to give this evening's sermon in D'var Torah.
Thank you.
Our Torah portion for this Shabbat continues the commandments regarding the tabernacle built in the wilderness when the Israelites, having left the slavery of Egypt, journey with Moses toward the promised land. It includes, among other things, commandments to create a ner tamid, a constantly burning light. And we see that in every congregation above the sanctuary ark. And there were also commandments about appointing Aaron and his sons as priests who would manage the sacrifices, since that's the way our ancient ancestors worshiped God. The portion gives us a lot of details about the clothing that's to be worn by Aaron and the ceremony for ordaining priests. So much of what we read in this portion seems, at first glance, to have no real relevance to our lives today. But of course, that's never the case. Torah is always relevant to our lives. Elaborate details remind us that there's something very special about our relationship with God that's different from our relationship with other human beings. The covenant between God and the people of Israel is unique, and we and God have promised to honor it. Tonight, I'd like to really focus for a moment on the symbolic meaning of the Ner Tamid. That light that is constantly burning can be understood to show us the presence of God at all times, but it is also symbolic of our role as a light to the nations. And that is something that we must keep in our minds at all times. That's a responsibility that we have, to be a light to the nations. The prophet Isaiah even told us that the reason that God chose Israel to receive the Torah was that we would take that responsibility of being a light to the nations. And the mitzvot would light our way to bringing justice and peace into the world. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is not always marked by justice, and certainly not by peace. Too often, we see today people who are released from prison after having spent many, many years there, when today's DNA tests show that they were never guilty of the crime in the first place. In far too many cities, we see racial profiling, and that has to be disturbing to us when we realize that we were marked for extinction because we were thought during the Holocaust to be polluting the purity of an Aryan master race. We see people today who are ready to close our borders to immigrants, and we have to remember that our grandparents were welcomed into this land when they fled persecution in Europe. It isn't always easy to be a light to the nations, but we can take refuge in the fact that one of the rabbis we often quote from Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Tarfon, reminds us that we're not required to finish the work, but we are not free to desist from it. We have to do our part to try to bring justice and peace into the world. And we should think of that every time we see the Ner Tamid burning. Not just that God is a presence in our lives and our world, but that we entered into an agreement with God that said that we would do our part to bring justice to that world. So this weekend in particular at B'nai Zion is focused on social justice. We have a fair trade sale on Sunday, and some of you may be familiar with fair trade and some of you may not. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to talk just for a moment about what fair trade is. The fair trade movement connects us to farmers and to craftspeople in underdeveloped nations who were once consigned to lives of deprivation. Today, these workers have the opportunity to earn a living, and they earn that living with what we call living wages. They are paid well for their skills, and they learn farming techniques that make their crops sustainable. Women, as well as men, can provide for their families, and children are not employed in sweatshops to produce cheap goods for sale in Western countries. The organizations that belong to fair trade co-ops bring these goods to us, and the profits from their sales are reinvested in the lives of the workers, giving them education, health care, safe working conditions, and opportunities to be their own bosses. Our fair trade sale is already set up down in the foyer to Lefkowitz Hall. We will not be selling tonight, but I invite you to walk by on your way out and see some of the beautiful goods that are there that will be for sale on Sunday. You will see scarves and purses and wallets and baskets and chocolate and coffee and tea and a lot of other things as well. We also have some fair trade Judaica, so you'll find kippot. You'll find a few Hanukkot, although I think they're going to go quickly. They're beaded alligators and a beaded bicycle, and I think they're going to be taken away very quickly. But there will be challah covers and matzah covers. And you might ask, do they cost more than I would pay somewhere else? Well, sometimes they do. But they aren't produced in sweatshops, and they are produced with regard for the environment. So they're not going to be, things are not going to be farmed. The coffee, the tea will not be farmed in ways that pollute the environment or destroy the environment. So yes, sometimes we pay a little more, but we can be proud that we are living up to our Jewish values when we purchase fair trade. We're not making any money on the fair trade sale. You can go into an arrangement with the companies so that you make some money and they make some money. We're turning all of the money back to them. All we want you to do is be aware of fair trade. You can find fair trade goods in other places. You just have to know to look for them. So we're not trying to make any money. We just want to sell the goods so that we don't return them to those who let us consign them. And perhaps the highest value in Judaism is the sustaining of life. And we'll also be doing that with a blood drive on Sunday. I'm proud to say that we have 24 people who have signed up to donate blood. LifeShare was hoping we could provide 15. Right now we have 24. And before Sunday, I hope we'll have more. And finally, we have our 8th and 9th grade students who will be selling homemade soup and desserts that they made during religious school. Homemade soups and desserts. With the proceeds, that's the one thing we are going to take the money and send it on to someplace else. We're going to be saving and enriching lives in our community, and also by giving money to Camp Dream Street, which is the summer camp at Henry S. Jacobs Camp. That is a wonderful summer camp experience for children with chronic disabilities, many of whom have spina bifida, cerebral palsy, and those kids look forward to coming to Jacobs Camp for Dream Street every year. So when you buy the food from the 8th and 9th graders, you're supporting that and Providence House and a couple of other things that they have chosen. Please join us on Sunday morning as we show our children by our own example that the light above our ark stands for our commitment to an eternal God who has taught us to do justly. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Thank you and welcome. Thanks to Cheryl and Harvey for leading our blessing tonight. Thank to Ann and Pat for being our gatekeepers. And I guess they had playground duty or whatever. Tomorrow, Abby will lead our Torah study at 9:45, and then Helaine will lead services at around 11-ish. And as she mentioned so well, that we've got a lot going on this Sunday. Hope to see everybody for the blood drive. If you haven't signed up, I'm sure they'll take you. Just come, show up. The fair trade markets from 9 to 2. And we're going to have a regional sisterhood program from 11 to 4 with women from our community meeting other Reform congregational women from the Arklatek. The rabbi will begin a series of discussions about ethical dilemmas from a Jewish perspective. She will be at the Oaks the last Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. The first session will be this Wednesday, February the 24th at 2 to 3 in the Community Center at the Oaks, so please join her. Donations were made to B'nai Zion for Paul for Flowers in memory of Paul Manassas by Lewis and McGovern families, in memory of Rebecca R. Muroff by her family, in memory of Betty Lipson Siegel and Ralph Simon Siegel by Susie and Artis Robeson, and in memory of Annette Weiss Selber by Mandy Selber, in memory of Marsharia Horn Sinclair by Elena Howard and the Sinclairs. Thank y'all.
Let's see where we continue. We will continue with Aleinu on page 148. Rise if, yes. Oh, yes. Let's do anybody under the age of 45, come up and help open the Ark. I mean, I am. Under the age of 65. Everyone, I'll open it. There we go. Yes. We got volunteers. Ah, Bethany, please come open the Ark. There we go. I should have done targeted calling on people.
Only under the age of 60 for a short time.
There you go.
There you go.
It works for tonight.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
When the ark is closed, you may be seated.
Thank you, Bethany. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We remember at the yard sites of the following people whose memories may be for our blessing: Ruth Lieber Annisman, Donna Ehrenstein, Anita Liebloffice, Jacob H. Bodenheimer, Louise Weiss Bronner, Leonard Cooper, Walter James Cousins, H. Jack Fleischman Jr., Marlene Foreman, Leslie B. Frankel, Max Friedman, Edith Gladstein, Bertha P. Goldsmith, S.F. Gordon, Paul Manasseh, Jacob A. Mandel, Geraldine Meyer, Rebecca R. Murov, Emmanuel Phelps, Blanche L. Ross, David River, Celia Schlinsky, Betty Lipson Siegel, Ralph Simon Siegel, Alfred Selber, Annetta Weiss Selber, Marcia Horn Sinclair, Doris Gordon Udis, Marjorie Weissman, Emily L. Weil. We also observe in this period of Shloshim during the first year Mimi Hussey, Dr. Sidney Solomon Slutsky, Dr. Donald Rosen, Morris Summer, Dr. Lori Vasca, Yvette Bell Summer, Val Gold, Ann Ivensky, Rhoda Gold, Marty Goldstein, and Arnie Farrer. Please rise for the Kaddish on page 154. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'marmav, hu yaseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen.
Want to do an Ein Keloheinu?
Sounds good. Page 100 and something.
59.
59.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodele Malkeinu, Nodele Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
And we will now say Hamotzi. And do we invite people up to say Hamotzi? If you have ever taught in the religious school, come join up here at the front if you would like. I count because I've taught, so.
Are now?
Yes. Thank you. And for those who want to follow along, we're on page 166. That's fine.
We can debate.
Yes, we could do that. All right. Oh, here come, look.
There we go. Ever taught.
Ever
There
taught.
you go.
Come on.
Doesn't matter.
Matter.
That's uncovered.
Hamotzi lechem im haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
So you can't leave up here unless you get some
Take a
coffee,
little
because
nibble.
you sang the blessing, you have to.
That's right, none of those crank calls to God.
Okay, let me get a little one. There, that thing.
Thank you.
Shabbat
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Good job.
Shabbat shalom. It looks like there's wine and things out there.